Hey folks, let me take you through some example photographs here that demonstrate how slow sync flash can improve the output of some of your photographs. Now, this is a very handy technique when you are in a situation where you're surrounded by lots of really cool lighting, and this could be like holiday lighting. It could be the Christmas tree in your house. It could be the way a town is decorated. It could be you could be at Walt Disney World and there at night where they, light up the parks and stuff like that. And you see this beautiful lighting set up and you want to do a portrait of somebody in front of it. So let me show you some results of how you can take that portrait and what the outcome of different settings might be here. So let's just start with this. This is indoors in front of our Christmas village. I have this beautiful model of my daughter kindly volunteering to take some photos for me. And this image is not terribly great. The big problem is it's really blurry and the illumination on her isn't terribly great. It's okay at best. What I do like about this image, even though it's blurry, is I do like the illumination of the village, the ambient light of that village absorbed into the camera a little bit during the exposure and has this nice glow about it. This is what the village kind of looks like with my naked eye when I view it. Now, again, the image is blurry, not very usable. So what can I do? I can put my flash on, and by the way, this is without a flash. This is just pointing the camera on automatic mode at my subject. This next image, I turned on the pop-up flash and took this. So there's some things that are better in this photo. For example, she's in sharper focus. The lighting on her is a little better. She's looking better than the last photo. However, the village isn't as exciting. That's not what the village looks like with my naked eye. It should have more illumination to it. And these lights, they almost look like they're off to some degree. They're just these little pinpricks of glowing inside the windows. Nothing at all like what I'm getting here. So there's a nice method of sort of splitting the difference between these two images, and that's using a slow sync flash. Now with the standard flash, you hit the shutter button, the flash triggers, it illuminates the subject in the foreground, and then all the lights and everything else in the background start to get darker. I'm sure if you go through your photographs, we all have years and years of standard flash photographs in our collection. So we kind of have a good idea of what that looks like. This next photo uses slow sync flash. When you hit the shutter button, before the flash goes off, the camera absorbs a little more of the light on a longer exposure, therefore letting the natural sort of ambient illumination of this village to work its way into the camera, and you'll get a little more natural rendering of what that light looked like in the scene. And before the shutter closes, the flash will trigger illuminating your foreground subject. So we go from here with poor illumination on our subject, interesting illumination on the background with the lighting, but a terribly blurry photograph, to the standard flash going off, which is, it's okay, but I lose the ambience and sort of magic of the lighting of the village. And then we go to this one, which is sort of split between the two. Now, one thing to be mindful of with this particular shot, I did move a little bit when I was taking the picture. So when the flash goes off, your subject will come out reasonably sharp, but your background might blur just a little bit. So if your subject stays reasonably still and you stay reasonably still when you take the picture, your background will come out sharper, and I'll show you that in a moment. Here's a similar situation. Put her in front of the Christmas tree, okay? Just move into another room and there she is in front of the tree, and sort of the same deal. This is without a flash, so I get this really nice illumination in the tree. That's very cool looking. Again, with my naked eye, that's kind of what the tree looks like in my house. But she comes out blurry and again kind of dark. Use the pop-up flash. This is what most people get when they take photos like this. The flash goes off, she looks fine, but look at the tree lights. They just little pinpricks of light. It's not how I envision my tree looking. And again, if I use slow sync, we get the best of both worlds. Now, I was a little more steady with the camera this time around, so the tree's in reasonably good focus. But I get a nice illumination on the tree, a nice illumination on the subject, and it's actually better than what I see with my naked eye. My eye sees the tree like this, but even my subject would be a little darker. So having that little splash of light from the pop-up flash works out really well. So this is called Slow Sync Flash, and it's not terribly complicated to use. It's usually just a setting located somewhere in the flash settings on your camera. Now, to prove that there's no sort of witchcraft going on here, I shot this with my camera in full automatic mode, nothing fancy, no manual control, no aperture priority, no scene settings, just I went totally automatic. And then I went to my flash controls and I went through the various settings for my flash controls. I have just the standard flash, I got the red eye reduction, fill flash, and then eventually it goes down to slow sync. Now, if you're not sure where the slow sync setting is on your camera, because obviously it'll be different than mine, just look it up in the index of your user manual. And if you still can't find it, just go into Google and punch in slow sync flash followed by the make and model of your camera, and I guarantee you're going to get a dozen hits right on that first page on where to find it and how to set it. I hope this is a tip that you can use for improving your photographs moving forward.